why is this question important? And how do we let this question improve our lives or make us a better person?
Phil Phails at Philosophy.
I mean, that's part of my problem with these determinism puzzles. I think of them as puzzles. I think they're great. I think they're fun. I think they're about as important as the question of the existence of God. And in both cases, they're questions that people put a lot of weight to, that when I dig into them as analytic questions, as philosophical questions, right? Let's leave it at that.
Yeah.
They're primarily interesting because they provide us a way to use these tools of reason to test the limits of those tools, right? That they reveal more about the limits of what reason can tell us about our experience of the world in interesting ways, right? And when I say that, it's not like, oh, that's all, and we got to go somewhere else, but actually get a texture for what that limit is, to see what is it that we can understand about the world through analysis. Let's not just use reason, but reasoned analysis of our experience.
So thinking about this question of free will allows us to put kind of boundaries around our reasoning. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Right, and to understand what the nature of those boundaries are, right? It's not just putting the boundaries, but seeing, oh, this wall is in this shape, and if I'm going to explore a question like this, I need to, like, that's not going to help.
Do you believe that we have free will? Do not say, I don't know.
I'm not going to say I don't know. I'm going to say...
I want you to make a choice here. Libertarian or not libertarian?
I don't understand.
You're not going to do it.
How that is even... Yeah, I mean, because I'm not going to do something just because you told me, Phil. Like, come on.
Don't make a choice. Do not answer this question explicitly.
I'm not going to do something just because I'm trying to avoid telling you doing something. Like, come on. Yeah, I mean, like, and that's the point. Like, I don't think it's a question. I think free will is something, I mean, see, I'd have to say yes, but to say that I believe in free will, because to believe in something for me is to say there's a set of claims that I can defend within an analytic framework.
That's to say there's an absolute capital T truth that I've come to through logic and reason, and you say can't come there. You can't get there with this.
I mean, yeah, it's just, it's a fundamental experience. We experience agency, right? We experience free will.
We experience agency.
Right. And the problem isn't whether free will exists or not to me. The problem is the way we understand the world doesn't have a capacity to explain this experience that I have, and at least through language and talking to other people, everyone else seems to have. That's interesting to me. That's like, so free will is more of a mystery in itself than a kind of problem to explain. And I think that gets at kind of my fundamental moral philosophy, right? That given our agency, what are you going to do with it? Right? What are you going to do with your agency?
Yeah.
Given the
what
fact,
is your mission and purpose? It's more a question of how are you going to live this life?
Right.
How are you going to impact the world? What is your contribution going to be? As opposed to, do you have free will? It's like, really, what are you going to do with your life?
And when I get to that question, I realize I don't think I can answer that question.
You do believe in free will. In order to say, what are you going to, in order to ask that question, what are you going to do with your life? The underpinnings of even asking that question is you believe in free will.
Right. I mean, and so I think these arguments against free will are parallel to Hume's arguments against causation. Right? They're skepticism that shows the limits of the framework. I see causation. You know, you say, go through that. Do you believe in causation? Yes, I believe in causation. as the best explanation for this experience of the world I
The
have.
pool ball. I might not
Right.
see the energy transfer, but I believe.
I
Yeah.
believe in free will as the best explanation for this experience of agency I have and other people seem to have.
Can we use agency in place of free will?
I
You're
like
doing it.
I like it better because it focuses on the notion of you being an agent in the world and doesn't get caught up, because I think like the problem I have with free will is, yeah, it gets caught up in this narrative of a master god and the human as the rebel, and kind of like
It gets
it's
wrapped
just
up in
like
religion.
it's just totally satanic, like, like
Satanic.
yeah, I mean, like this is sort of this narrative of like this struggle between the master
It's theology. It gets wrapped up in religion.
and a political notion of freedom that I think isn't helpful, that is about mastery and liberation on a political sense, right?
That then gets between independence and
Right.
kind of socialization, being social, living in a group versus I am independent. I'm a man.
So
an
I
island.
have this agency. What am I going to do with it? I've come to, and partly this is love, right? Is that whatever's going on with that problem, I can't figure it out myself. I can't figure out what I'm supposed to do here on my own.
No.
I have to go talk to other people. I have to listen to them. And if I'm going to find moral guidance, it's not going to be from my head. It's not going to be from some crazy voice I hear when I'm in some sort of deep meditative or psychological state or ecstasy or whatnot.
Right.
It's going to come from talking to the people I love and the people they love and the people they love, and then expanding that out and talking to more and more people and saying, what's going on with this world? What are we doing here? What do you have to offer me? And doing that in a way where, yeah, I'm trying to have some discernment. I'm trying to think it through. I'm not just taking whatever someone offers. I'm like, dude, looks like you're running a cult, right? Like
Right.
all those things. But at the same time, it's going to come because I've stopped my desire to jump in and say, I've got it. I have the answer, and to listen, right? I don't know. That's my fundamental experience of raising a kid, right? It's this,
I want to take on.
when you have a kid, it's this being you have that you're like, oh, I'm going to like do the right thing and make sure this kid is perfect. And then the entire rest of it is realizing that your job is actually not to do that, but to get yourself out of the way. Right. Like, and
Just not mess them up.
Right.
Just not
mess them up, but also not mess
protect
them
them.
like to get out. And there's protection. There's all those things, but it's also about
you cultivate in some
finding
way
a space
environment for
around
them.
that person where their voice is as important to you, if not more important, especially in relationship to them, than the thoughts you have in your head.
Yeah. I see what you're saying now.
Yeah.
Right.
So however well those thoughts are reasoned.
The place.
And maybe that's not helpful for this problem, because it's just like, I'm more interested in moral problems, I think, at the end of the day, than analytic problems. Because I think analytic problems are interesting, but they're math.
Yeah.
And I love math, but math is recreational to me. So.